Hello, everybody, and welcome into another free agency coverage video here at the Hockey Writers. I'm your host, Matthew Zator, and as always on a lot of these videos, Jacob Billington here. Jacob, how's it going?
Good. I missed out on a lot of the content over draft from free agency, so it's nice to be back in front of the camera.
For sure, yeah, we had a lot of cover. We just wrapped our last draft video, recapping the whole draft. But now we're into the offseason, the official offseason and the free agency period. We're into the dead days, really. Nikolai Eers was a final big free agent that signed. There's still quite a few still out there. They'll probably be signing. But for the most part, a lot of the big guys are gone. And we are only less than a week into free agency. It kind of shows the, I guess, relative weakness of the draft. The free agent class this year, because so many got signed by their same teams. All the big names were gone by July 1st, but there were still some left. So we're going to do a top five of the signings so far. And those are probably going to be the top five. I don't think there's going to be any surprises later on because there aren't many big names left. But we're just going to go through our top five, and it's fun because we actually have just one and two are the same names. So we have different ones for each of our top five lists. So I'll start with you, Jacob, with your number five. Who do you got that is fifth on your list here?
Yeah, so this is a bit of an underrated one that a lot of people kind of skipped over, but I'm going to go with Jacob Peliche with the Tampa Bay Lightning. He signed a 3-year deal at league minimum. I think that's phenomenal value for Tampa Bay, and he's one of those guys that, like, Tampa always seems to find these players that are on the verge of breaking out. Like, you look at Brandon Hagel, like, of course he was doing well in Chicago, but like I could see a very similar kind of breakout with a guy like Jacob Peliche. He's been up and down from the NHL and the AHL, but through 86 games in his career, he's got 29 points. Like, he's got the offensive skills. In the AHL, he's always flirting with a point per game. I just think that it's going to be phenomenal value. He's a young, I think he's 24. He's 5'9", so he's a smaller winger, but I think that he could fit into Tampa Bay's system really, really well and really have a true breakout season and maybe post 40, 50 points and then build off that for next year.
Yeah, the Lightning are very good at getting these budget guys in free agency because they usually don't have a lot of cap space. And, getting a guy like that, and he, like you say, he's still relatively young as well. It was kind of surprising that Philadelphia didn't bring him back because they didn't really give him a chance to really fit in the lineup. But now it's the Lightning, and I think he'll have a really good season too, and under a really nice contract, like you said. So I agree, him being on that top five. I've got a different one, and this is another low-end contract. It was actually surprising that he got this. I mean, he is older now, so I guess maybe it's pretty low, but he had 20 goals, and that's Evgeny Dadonov. Getting signed by the New Jersey Devils, $1 million. The AAV, though, is 3.25, but cap hit, looking at, is only $1 million. I don't know how that kind of works. It's performance bonuses. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And that's the thing about the older guys. They sign these low-end deals, but they can get so much more money if they hit these targets. So, but Dadonov going to New Jersey, he's going to get to play with some really good players like he did in Dallas. I mean, he had 20 goals. And going to a team that you can play with Jack Hughes, I play with Nico Hischier, and he's a goal scorer, and he's shown that throughout his career. Had a really good stint in Dallas. Now he goes to New Jersey, and he's still going to be able to play with some really good players. So I think he's going to have a really good season for what he's getting paid. It's not too much. I think it's going to end up being a really good signing for the Devils and another team that didn't have a lot of cap space to work with. And they're getting a guy that's may be a really good signing when we look back on it.
Yeah, I really like the Dadonov signing. I as somebody who covers the Senators, I don't like to talk about Dadonov very often. But I do think that for the Devils, this is a great signing. There's almost no risk to it. Things don't work out well. He's not going to hit all of his bonuses, and the cap hit just stays lower. So, yeah, I think it's a fantastic signing.
Yeah. All right, number 4 for you. Who you got for there?
Well, I'm going to stick with the New Jersey Devils. I'm going to go Connor Brown. He signed a 4-year deal at $3 million per season. I think that like what he adds, he's so versatile. Watching him in Ottawa and then move to Edmonton, he can do anything. He can play on the top line. He can produce. He can keep up with pretty well anybody in the league. He might fit alongside Jesper Bratt and Jack Hughes pretty well, or he could play more of a defensive role on a line with, whether you want to put him on the second line with Nico Hischier and have that kind of as a shutdown two-way line, or if you want to put him third or fourth line, like he's going to fit everywhere and he's going to be super effective. He went through a really tough stretch last season where he didn't score like any goals. 2 seasons ago now, I guess. But this past season, he was back up 30 points in 82 games. He's great in the playoffs. So I think Connor Brown, like, he does it all. And I think that's kind of what the New Jersey Devils needed a bit more of, is the versatility, because they've dealt with a lot of injuries over the past few years. They need people to jump up in the lineup. So I think that Connor Brown's going to work out really, really well for the New Jersey Devils.
Yeah, I agree too. Like I said, with Dadonov, then they get Brown as well. I mean, he's got a lot of speed. He showed that. He had a pretty good season in Edmonton, like you said. And I think he does fit alongside some skilled players. He can also play in the bottom six. He can kill penalties. He can, like you said, he can do it all. He's a very versatile player. And I think the Devils are going to really benefit from him too. Again, he could play with their top two centers quite easily. And also play in the bottom six and be pretty effective there too. So I like that signing for New Jersey too. So 2 New Jersey Devils on our top 5 list. So I guess so far the Devils are doing pretty good in free agency. All right, my number 4, and then I'm going veterans here. I'm going with Brent Burns as my number 4, and he just signed yesterday. I mean, and that actually late last night. And Colorado Avalanche, which, I mean, Burns can still play. He played 82 games last season, and he's played 82 games quite a bit. Is very doesn't get hurt. I think he's one of the Iron Men right now, and he can still put up points. I mean, last season didn't have the best season point-wise, probably his worst in a while. But just a season ago, he had 61 points, I believe, and that's that was at age, he's 40 now, and man, lots of 40-year-olds in the NHL. I mean, not lots, but a lot of guys. You got Corey Perry still playing, and you got Brent Burns on defense still playing and still at a pretty good level. So, I mean, he only had 29 points this season. It was 43 last season, 61 in 2022-23. But even a 43-point season is pretty decent for a guy that is older and getting up there in age, but he can still play 20 minutes a night. And in Colorado, I mean, he might not play in the top 4, but he could. And that's something that the Avalanche could use really well. I mean, he's a right shot as well. So, I mean, that's one thing I think Burns could benefit. And I mean, you could even play on your fourth line or third and fourth line if you really wanted to. He probably won't. He'll probably play defense. But I think Brent Burns is a really value signing. Again, the performance bonuses and all that for him too. But for the Avalanche, who, again, another team doesn't have a lot of cap space, probably has a pretty effective defenseman, even though he is already 40, right? So I think Burns is a good signing for the Avalanche.
Well, with that age, I mean, last year watching the Carolina Hurricanes, like he doesn't have the foot speed anymore. And his defending is like, you could see that with his defensive skills, but if he can contribute offensively, there's enough strong defensive presence on the Colorado Avalanche that can make up for it. So I do think that it's a good deal if those performances, the performance bonuses all hit, and he gets his whole full $4 million. That might be a bit too steep, but like for the $1 million base salary, like that's a fantastic. It's a pretty well risk free.
Yeah, for sure. And again, he could be playing with some pretty good defensemen in there too. I don't know if he's going to be a 20-minute guy there, but like it's really good to have a defenseman that can still play those minutes because injuries happen throughout the season too. So I thought it was a really good, low risk for the Avalanche for sure. right, let's move into our top three now. And you've got a former Avalanche in this 3 spot. Who do you got there?
Yeah, so I've got Jonathan Drewan. I think that he was fantastic in Colorado. He played alongside Nathan MacKinnon. Obviously, they go back to Halifax in 2012, 2013. But he played so well on the Avalanche. His career seemed to be dwindling down a little bit as he was entering his kind of late 20s with Montreal. But then he got a chance with Colorado, and all of a sudden he's rejuvenated. Is he a MacKinnon merchant? I don't know. We'll have to see. But I think Drewan at $4 million for 2 years is a phenomenal deal. He scored 37 points in 43 games last year. He missed a lot of time due to injury, of course, and then 56th the year before with Colorado. So the offensive talent is still there. I mean, this guy was drafted 3rd overall, which, again, played with MacKinnon in junior. So was he a MacKinnon merchant the whole time? Who knows? But no, I think Jonathan Drewan is a great fit for what the Islanders have. He could play really well with the speed of Matt Barzal, or he could play really well with just the offensive style of Bo Horvat. So I think, I think Drewan is a fantastic signing. I don't know why the Islanders are the ones that gave him that contract. That doesn't make a ton of sense to me. But the contract itself is, I think, the 3rd best out of free agency.
Yeah, Drewan, I mean, he's still pretty good. He could fit with a few, like you said, the top two centers on the Islanders. It was interesting that they were the ones that signed him. I do agree with that. I think Mike Fink also commented on, maybe not the guy that they thought that they would sign. 3 is another guy that just signed, and that's Gustav Nyquist, Winnipeg Jets. And it's another low signing, but this is a guy that was just coming off a 73-point season not that long ago, and you'd think that maybe that was a flash in the pan. He just had a really good season, but in Winnipeg, he's going to be able to play with some really good players. He could play in the top 6. Another guy that can play in your bottom 6 and still be pretty effective. And the money wasn't super bad either. I mean, that's the one thing Nyquist I've seen. I mean, at least in Nashville, it seemed like he was able to play. I mean, he was part of that really good top line with Philip Forsberg, and seemed to really click. So if he can find that same chemistry with a couple other guys in Winnipeg, I think could actually work out really well. And I mean, again, I'm picking veterans. It seems like all my guys are veteran guys. $3.25 million for 1 year. Again, this is a 36-year-old. But like I said, that 73-point season was just a couple seasons ago, which he was older than too. So, I mean, 3.25 is pretty good. It's low risk for the Jets to sign him, and he might work out. He may have another season like that, and it's only 1 year. So if it doesn't work out, he's gone. And I think still, I mean, he's no Nikolai Eers, but I think he could still be a productive guy for the Jets for sure.
Well, looking at the Jets, I mean, goal scoring wasn't necessarily their issue. Like they have that kind of set with their top line with Mark Scheifele, Kyle Connor, and Gabe Vilardi. Yeah. They don't necessarily need that scoring from Ehlers. It was the really good like speed that he played with and whatnot. And so the Jets brought in a couple good players with Nyquist and Tanner Pearson. And so I think it really sucks that Ehlers was just log jammed into the middle 6, almost the third line for most of his career. But I think that on a third line role or middle 6 role, Gustav Nyquist can kind of replace what they needed out of Ehlers fairly well. So I do think that that's a fantastic signing as well.
Yeah, all my guys are so far over 35 years old. Whatever. But that's, I mean, veterans, guys that can still produce in the NHL and still be really good in their roles. So, yeah, and now we'll move into those. The top 2 aren't over 35. So Jacob, we'll both comment because we're both the same for number 2. Who's second? It's pretty obvious, I think. We haven't mentioned these guys yet.
Yeah, Nikolai Eers. I think that contract is Going to work out really well. Actually, before I even mention him, I just wanted to say that Matthew and I were talking before we started recording about Brock Besser and whether to include him or not. He would probably be third for me, probably for you too. But just because he went back to Vancouver, was it really a free agency signing? We just figured it was easier to keep him out. But so with Nikolai Eers, I mean, he's been rumored to go to Carolina for 2-3 seasons now. Like all the conversations about Martiniches, all the conversations about just any trade that Winnipeg is going to do or Carolina is going to do, it always seemed to be Ehlers to Carolina. So it just made sense. He plays a very Carolina game. He's a speedy winger. He's going to fit in on that team really well. Hopefully they can get some chemistry going with Jesperi Kotkaniemi and as their second line center. And they're also turning into the Danish Olympic team because now they have Ehlers and Freddie Anderson. But no, I think for better or worse, I think that there's an argument for both sides. Ehlers is a very prototypical Carolina Hurricane. Like he just plays really well. He's going to fit into Rod's system really well. He's going to score his 60, 65, 70 points. Hopefully he can actually even do better than that now that he's going to get more minutes. He's going to be in the top 6 right wing with Seth Jarvis. So should be a really, really good signing. And for 6 years at $8.5 million, that's fantastic value.
Yeah, it was kind of a foregone conclusion that Ehlers was going to go to Carolina. I was just like, why didn't you just sign him day one? But whatever. He ended up signing with them, and I think the Hurricanes they were a dangerous team before signing him, and now they're even more. Their second line center is still a bit interesting. I don't know if Kotkaniemi's a really, the best second line center. They could probably use an upgrade there, but it's going to be. It's not tough. They have $10 million still in cap space, but there's no one really on the market now. It's going to come through trade. There's no one that's a second line center on the free agent market. The last ones went that could potentially be like Pia Suter was probably the last one. And he's not really, he's like a Kotkaniemi too. Like it's like, you hope that he's going to be good in a second line, but ideally you want him as a third line guy. I think that's the same thing with Kotkaniemi. Ehlers is going to play with some good players. Like I said, Seth Jarvis, he could potentially play with Aho on the second, even in top line, who knows? They're going to try it, I'm sure. And the same thing with the top power play unit. He's going to get a lot more opportunities, I think, in Carolina than he was. Like you said, log jammed to that middle 6 area with Winnipeg. And I think it was a great signing for Carolina. He's going to end up being a really good player for Brendan Moore for sure. And I like that. Second for sure on my top 5 as well. All right. Now you can probably guess what our number 1 free agent signing is. I was saying before the show, is it technically a free agent signing since it was a sign and trade, but whatever. He did change teams, and that is Mitch Marner. Vegas Golden Knights, it looked like they were going to sign him anyway, even if there wasn't a sign and trade and all that stuff. So really, he was going to be a free agent signing of the Vegas Golden Knights, no matter whatever happened. So he's our number 1 free agent signing. Coming off a 102-point season with Toronto Maple Leafs, we all know he can produce. He's a guy that's hit 90 points a couple times. You're looking at he's going to be good for at least 70, 80 points. He's going to play with another great center in Jack Eichel, going from Austin Matthews, Jack Eichel. That's a pretty good it's a lateral move, really. He's going to end up getting, I think, 100 points in Vegas. The money, you could say budget, that it's not a value contract. It's big money.
It really could be a value contract.
Yeah.
He could have gotten $13.5 million.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's very true. Same thing with Brock Besser. He got to hit like $9 million probably in the open market. We didn't re-sign in Vancouver. But Marner, maybe it will. I just see that double digits and you're like, it's big. But as the cap goes up, you're going to start seeing that a lot of these contracts are going to look a lot better. Marner, it's made the Golden Knights a lot more dangerous team. When it gets to the playoffs, we'll see what happens. But we know he's going to be good in the regular season. So, he's my number 1 for sure.
Yeah, and the biggest issue with the Golden Knights, like you look at their center depth, they've got Eichel, Tomas Hertl, William Karlsson as their top three. You don't got to worry about your center depth unless you're starting to deal with injuries. On the wings, I mean, they weren't as strong, but still, like you got Mark Stone, Pavel Dorofeyev, Ivan Barbashev, and then a couple good bottom six guys like Brandon Saad, Riley Smith, Keegan Kolesar. But they were just really missing that superstar winger. Mark Stone isn't that anymore. He never really was. He was just so good at everything except for the point production. But Mark Stone doesn't have to be the guy on the wing anymore, which is good. He's had to deal with so many injuries. And of course, he's still going to be captain and whatnot. But bringing in Mitch Marner just makes him so much more dangerous. He's the best offensive option that they have. And he can also be a Selke candidate. Like, it's ridiculous how good Mitch Marner is. And now that he's out of the Toronto pressure and just the hate from everybody, people are really going to see how ridiculously good Mitch Marner is. I mean, everybody hears about it all the time, but he could probably win the Selke and contend for the Art Ross at the same time. Yeah,
and I mean, you're looking at he could also be Lady. Is it the Lady Bing that for the least amount of penalty minutes and stuff like that?
Yeah,
he only had 14 penalty minutes last season, and 18 the previous season. He doesn't take penalties. That's another guy that he won't be in the box, so he's going to be a guy to be on the ice for you. And I would say he's probably the top playmaking winger in the NHL. You're looking at
over Kucherov.
Kucherov, I guess, would be 1-2. Yeah. Kucherov is number one. Yeah. But Marner is up there for sure.
Oh, for sure.
Kucherov would be the top. About 102 points, 99 in 2022, 23, 97. And I mean, like I said, he's good for at least 70, 80 points.
At the bare minimum,
probably hit 100 again this season, staying healthy of course. He's a guy that's definitely hands down the number one signing, and he would have been wherever he would have signed. But yeah, out of the media hotbed of Toronto, I don't know. He could be. I feel like he was just hitting, scratching the surface of what he was doing in Toronto, and yeah, a great signing for the Golden Knights. Unfortunately, the Canucks are going to have to deal with him a lot more than they did when he was in Toronto. But yeah, top signing for sure. All right. Well, that's our top 5 free agent signings, and it'll be the top 5. I don't think anything's going to change there. But yeah, lots of free agency still to go. There could be some under the radar signings that could still happen. We've had in the past where a signing in August all of a sudden turns out to be a ridiculous signing later on. And who knows? We might get that. We might not. But the off season's just started. Unfortunately, I think it's going to be really quiet unless there's some trades. We still got the threat of offer sheets, though.
There's still lots of RFAs.
Quite a few RFAs that potentially could get offer sheeted. I don't know if it's going to happen right away, though. I think as we start getting closer to those arbitration dates and all that's fun stuff, I think we're going to start seeing that a bit more. But we'll see. It should be fun. But thanks, Jacob, for coming on and doing our top 5 here. Make sure to check out everythinghockeyrights.com. We've got free agent coverage, all the signings. A lot of the writing teams are also doing different meet the players and stuff like that. And all of a sudden, all of our off-season content as well. And the site doesn't stop running. We got articles going throughout the off-season, but check out everything that we got going on there. The Substack newsletters as well. There's also a deal going on for the premium Substack. You can see that in the description and in the ticker as it was going across the episode there. But make sure to check out everything. But until our next video, we will see you next time.